Have a look in your pantry right now. Tucked right next to the olive oil or sitting on your health food shelf, there is probably a tub of coconut oil. You bought it because the jar made a promise. Words like pure, organic, cold-pressed, or extra virgin practically screamed health from the label. You paid a premium, brought it home, and started frying your eggs in it, stirring it into coffee or slathering it over your skin, thinking you were making the ultimate clean lifestyle choice. But what if that jar sitting in your kitchen is harboring petroleum-derived solvents, undisclosed trans fats, or synthetic hormone disruptors leaching out of cheap plastic? Worse still, what if the words that convinced you to drop $12 at Woolies or Coles have zero legal meaning under Australian food standards? By the end of this video, you will know exactly how the multi-billion-dollar coconut oil industry tricks shoppers using legal loopholes, clever rebranding, and hollow certifications. I will show you why your healthy choice might be stripped of every nutrient it ever had, cracking open the lab data, chemical extraction methods, and corporate history big food brands prefer you never read. We are exposing 7 widely available brands that have no place in a health-conscious kitchen, including Australia's most trusted supermarket staples. Stick around until the end because the worst offender built its empire on a massive regulatory lie while hiding behind thousands of suspicious online reviews. It is not all grim news though. I will also hand you 3 genuinely pure, unadulterated options sitting on local Aussie shelves that are actually worth your hard-earned dollars. Before naming names, we need to talk about how coconut oil is made, because understanding production is the only way to spot the scams. Coconut oil comes from either fresh coconut meat or copra, which is dried coconut flesh. How a company gets the fat out makes the entire difference between a superfood packed with antioxidants and a tub of industrial grease. Ideally, fresh coconut meat is mechanically pressed at low temperatures without chemical assistance. This true cold pressing leaves the oil rich in medium-chain triglycerides, polyphenols, and that distinct coconut aroma. It is a slow, expensive process, but it produces an unrefined oil that is completely natural and intact. The industrial reality is far less appetizing. To maximize yield and slash costs, mass-market manufacturers skip fresh meat and use cheap copra that often sat rotting and moldy in tropical humidity for months. Because that raw fat turns out brown and rancid, factories subject it to an aggressive chemical cleanup known as refining, bleaching, and deodorizing, or RBD. Copra is soaked in hexane, a liquid petroleum solvent from the same chemical family as gasoline, to extract every drop of fat. The mixture is heated to evaporate the solvent, bleached with clay to strip the grey colour, and blasted with steam exceeding 220 degrees Celsius to strip the putrid smell. What comes out of an RBD process is completely lifeless, colourless, odourless white fat. Heat-sensitive nutrients, antioxidants, and vitamin E molecules are destroyed in the furnace. Subjecting plant fats to extreme heat during deodorization also alters their molecular structure, creating trace trans fatty acids and chemical compounds like glycidyl fatty acid esters, flagged by food safety authorities for potential toxicity. Under current Australian labelling laws, manufacturers are not required to disclose hexane processing or trace trans fats if amounts per serving fall below regulatory thresholds. They slap pure on the front tub, put it on a shelf at Coles or Woolies, and let you pay top dollar for processed industrial fat. Then there is the regulatory wild west of labelling terms. Extra virgin olive oil in Australia is backed by strict standards defined by the Australian Olive Association and international bodies, requiring lab testing for acidity and sensory profile. But for coconut oil, Food Standards Australia New Zealand has no legal definition for extra virgin whatsoever. Zero. A company can take cheap, heat-refined, solvent-extracted copra oil, print extra virgin on the plastic label in giant bold letters, and sell it legally across Australia. You think you are paying for purity, but you are paying for an unchecked marketing decision. Now that you know how the game is played, let us tear down the brands filling your supermarket shelves. Number 7. The generic supermarket tubs proudly slapping pure across the front label at Coles and Woolies. That word is doing heavy lifting, and none of it is earned. The ACCC and Food Standards Australia New Zealand do not regulate pure on cooking oils. There is no legal definition, standard, or threshold a product must clear. Any company can put pure on a label regardless of what industrial chemicals touched it. Many budget oils rely on hexane extraction. Dried copra is soaked in a liquid hexane bath to pull fats out, heated, bleached with industrial clay, and deodorized at extreme heat. Theoretically, the hexane evaporates. In practice, independent lab studies detect residues between 0.8 and 1.0 parts per million. Negligible. Per meal is a different calculation when you fry eggs in it daily for 10 years. Open the jar and smell it. Nothing. Inhale near the rim and you catch a faint chemical undertone that does not belong in human food. Pure is a word with no legal weight, sitting above a process most shoppers would not recognize as food production. Number 6. Kirkland's signature organic virgin coconut oil, Costco's powerhouse house brand, and one of the highest volume coconut oils sold in Australia. You get nearly 2.5 litres for roughly $30. The maths looks exceptional before you pop the lid. Open a fresh batch. Clean coconut aroma, mild taste. Exactly what virgin oil should deliver. Now open a jar purchased 6 months later from the exact same aisle. The smell is weaker, with a faint fermented or musty note. The flavour is flatter and staler. Same label, same price, noticeably different product. That is Costco's global sourcing model producing the outcome its structure makes inevitable. Kirkland operates on bulk price negotiation, sourcing from whichever supplier offers the most competitive price that quarter. One batch might come from a well-managed cooperative. The next container ship arriving in Melbourne might carry oil from a completely different operation where poor storage degraded the oil. Certified organic logos regulate pesticide exposure during farming, but say nothing about freshness or storage. Put 2 Kirkland jars purchased months apart side by side. One is bright white, the other has a greyish tint. That is physical evidence of different source material packed under identical labels. When you buy 2.5 litres, you are committed to that batch for a year, with no way of knowing which supplier filled your specific jar. Number 5. Macro organic virgin coconut oil, specifically the large plastic tubs sold across Woolworths. Macro has a solid reputation in the Australian organic space, and their virgin oil is legitimately produced, certified organic, cold-pressed, and unrefined. The severe problem here is the container it sits in. The label proudly declares it is BPA-free, which sounds reassuring. But when manufacturers globally removed bisphenol A after research linked it to endocrine disruption, they replaced it with BPS and BPF, chemically similar compounds associated with comparable hormone-disrupting properties. Fat is lipophilic, meaning it chemically attracts and absorbs fat-soluble compounds like a sponge. When oil sits inside a soft plastic container, synthetic chemicals migrate from container walls directly into the fat. Add ambient kitchen heat near a hot stove and that migration accelerates. Unscrew the lid on a macro plastic tub open for a few months and smell the inside rim. There are artificial off-notes that were not present when you peeled back the seal. What transfers below the threshold your nose registers is still present in the oil you cook with daily. Shoppers pay a premium for organic and get chemical migration included at no extra charge. If that changes how you look at your pantry, hit subscribe. It only gets rougher from here. Number 4. Kofa and the commercial refined coconut shortenings filling bakery aisles. If you grew up in Australia, this stuff is famous for making chocolate crackles. But Kofa was the backbone of the Australian trans fat industry for nearly a century, relying on partial hydrogenation to get that indestructible brick-like texture. When medical research confirmed trans fats cause cardiovascular disease, manufacturers reformulated to avoid supermarket bans. Grab a block of refined commercial coconut shortening today, open it and smell it. Nothing. Taste it. Just a waxy coating on your tongue. This product is industrially refined past any connection to tropical coconut. The extreme deodorization process responsible for that absence operates at temperatures often exceeding 200 degrees Celsius, where trace trans fatty acids spontaneously form. Under Australian food codes, if a serving contains trace amounts, the label can still read 0. But using these fats for baking over a lifetime allows trace trans fats to accumulate into real biological volumes. A brand that built a local market on a process linked to heart disease simply tweaked its formula just enough to survive behind modern legal cover. Number 3. Macro Whole Foods Market refined coconut oil. To understand why this one is insidious, you must look at brand history. Macro Whole Foods spent decades building a belief among Australians that the store applied rigorous standards before products reached shelves. It used to be a trusted chain of independent health food stores where shoppers paid more because tough sourcing questions were already answered. That premise changed in 2009 when Woolworths acquired the Macro brand. The Macro everyday refined coconut oil you see today is what that acquisition looks like as a product. Open the jar, no smell. Run it between your fingers, it is unnaturally smooth, feeling like petroleum jelly because every natural botanical compound was refined away. Taste it, absolute dead air. The processing is identical to the cheapest budget oils, relying on intense bleaching and extreme deodorization that destroy beneficial compounds and produce trace trans fatty acids. Nothing in this jar chemically distinguishes it from the cheapest refined coconut oil on a discount shelf. What distinguishes it is solely the green logo and the premium aura it projects. After the supermarket takeover, the brand shifted from ingredient integrity to an in-house label driving retail margins. Number 2. Melrose Organic Refined Coconut Oil. Melrose has a phenomenal reputation in the Australian health food sector, and their unrefined virgin oils are fantastic. But their refined product line introduces something entirely different. Melrose markets their refined oil as physically or steam refined, a phrase designed to sound gentler than chemically refined. However, to fully deodorize raw coconut oil and strip away all aroma, processing plants use continuous temperatures exceeding 230 degrees Celsius. That thermal reality does not change because steam is introduced. At those extreme temperatures, polyphenols degrade, antioxidant activity drops, and delicate nutrients are cooked away, leaving only heat-stable fats. Open the jar and there is no smell. Taste a spoonful and there is no natural sweetness. Just like cheaper industrial oils, high-temperature deodorization produces trace trans fatty acids that fall below FSANZ labeling thresholds. Melrose built its reputation on transparency, but selling this alongside their virgin oils relies on a clever two-word reframe of a harsh industrial outcome. Number 1. Biogland Superfoods Organic Extra Virgin Coconut Oil. Walk into Chemist Warehouse or Woolworths and you will see these tubs dominating as the gold standard. The label leads with two words that carry the weight of a quality guarantee: extra virgin. Most shoppers borrow that mental reference point from olive oil, which has internationally recognized enforced standards for acidity and sensory evaluation. Here is what extra virgin means on coconut oil in Australia: absolutely nothing. The ACCC has established no definition. Food Standards Australia New Zealand has established no definition. No Australian industry body has created a binding certification framework with testing requirements or verification. That phrase can be printed on any coconut oil, regardless of processing temperature or copra quality. A small producer cold pressing fresh coconut meat and an industrial facility refining dried copra at 200 degrees can both legally label their product extra virgin. Independent testing commissioned by consumer advocacy groups globally revealed coconut oils carrying these labels showed chemical markers inconsistent with cold-pressed processing, including elevated peroxide values. The industry had every opportunity to build a real framework like olive oil, but chose an unregulated claim that offers maximum commercial flexibility. Right, here comes the part that makes watching worth it. Up until now, we have exposed how major brands use legal loopholes, petroleum solvents, extreme heat, and cheap plastic tubs to turn industrial fat into market gold. But there are manufacturers doing things with integrity, publishing independent lab tests, using inert glass packaging, and producing genuine coconut oil that nourishes your body. Every one of these three options is available right here in Australia. Best option number 3. Melrose Organic Unrefined Virgin Coconut Oil in the glass jar. This is your accessible entry point, available across Chemist Warehouse, health food stores, and independent grocers statewide. While Melrose's refined version made our avoid list, their unrefined virgin oil in glass tells a different story. It is certified organic through Australian Certified Organic, ACO, cold-pressed without chemical solvents, and never subjected to bleaching or high-heat deodorization. Choosing the glass jar eliminates the risk of phthalates, BPS, and BPF migrating into your cooking fat over time. Pop the lid and the coconut aroma is immediate, clean, and gently sweet. When solid, it exhibits a natural bright white color without petroleum jelly uniformity. A small spoonful delivers a delicate coconut flavor with a smooth finish. At roughly $14 to $16 for a 500 milliliter glass jar, it works out to less than 50 cents per cooking serving, a reliable upgrade for clean daily cooking. Best option number 2. New Life Certified Organic Extra Virgin Coconut Oil in a glass jar. This Australian-owned social enterprise brand is available at Harris Farm markets, health food stores, and online. New Life was founded to eradicate poverty in rural Pacific Island communities, reinvesting 100% of net profits into equipment, fair wages, and community development. New Life produces some of the purest, most transparently tested coconut oil available. Their oil is cold-pressed within 3 hours of opening fresh coconuts, using proprietary direct micro-expelling technology on local village farms. There is zero copra drying, storage rotting, hexane, bleaching, or high-heat processing. Independent laboratory testing verifies exceptionally low peroxide levels, confirming the fat is unoxidized and rich in lauric acid and antioxidants. Handcrafted from fresh meat, it delivers an intoxicating coconut aroma and a microscopic natural graininess when solid, proof it has not been industrially homogenized. At around $18 to $20 for a 500 milliliter glass jar, every cent goes toward documented quality and ethical impact. Best option number 1. Dr. Bronner's Organic Whole Kernel Virgin Coconut Oil in a glass jar. This is the absolute gold standard of coconut oil available in Australia through Chemist Warehouse, health food shops, and online grocers. Founded by Emanuel Bronner, a third-generation Jewish soap maker who escaped Nazi Germany, the company operates on a philosophy of radical honesty, regenerative agriculture, and supply chain transparency. Unlike brands using dried copra, Dr. Bronner's cold presses oil from whole, fresh coconut kernels with the dark inner skin intact. They enforce a strict thermal sealing during pressing, never exceeding 49 degrees Celsius. That low temperature preserves natural polyphenols, vitamin E, and complex fatty acid structures. They package strictly in heavy glass jars with non-toxic seals and publish third-party lab testing confirming zero heavy metals, pesticides, or chemical residues. The smell is a deeply complex, fresh coconut fragrance, and the taste is rich and slightly nutty with a clean finish. The subtle golden hue from the whole kernel skin confirms raw, unbleached botanical nutrients. At roughly $22 to $24 for a 414 milliliter jar, the price reflects what uncompromised quality, fair trade wages, regenerative organic farming, and lab verification cost to produce. When standing in the aisle at Woolworths, Coles, or Aldi, keep these 6 rules screenshot ready on your phone. Rule 1. Glass only. Never buy coconut oil packaged in soft plastic or plastic tubs. Fat acts like a chemical magnet for endocrine disruptors. Rule 2. Look for unrefined or cold pressed on the label. If it says refined, deodorized, or steam refined, walk away. Rule 3. Ignore pure and extra virgin, as neither carries a legal definition for coconut oil in Australia under FSANZ rules. Rule 4. Demand certified organic logos, such as Australian Certified Organic or USDA Organic. Rule 5. Open the jar at home. Real coconut oil must smell like fresh coconut. If it smells like dead air or chemicals, return it. Rule 6. Check for third-party lab transparency or clear supply chain sourcing on the brand's site. The takeaway from this investigation is simple. The commercial oil industry relies on your convenience and implicit trust in health buzzwords, knowing 90% of shoppers never flip the tub to read the fine print. Corporations take low-grade copra, blast it with petroleum solvents and 200-degree heat, package it in plastic, and charge premium prices while using regulatory loopholes to leave the truth off the label. Stopping this cycle simply requires a fundamental shift in your shopping mindset. Stop buying words on the front and start demanding chemical purity and transparency on the back. Thank you for taking the time to dig into the truth with me today. Your health and household budget are worth protecting. If this investigation opened your eyes, share this video with a mate, family member, or anyone with an anonymous plastic tub of oil sitting next to their stovetop. Drop a comment below and tell me, which brand is sitting in your pantry right now? And did any of these chemical loopholes surprise you? Make sure to check out our deep dive expose on supermarket olive oils linked